Welcome to Lesson Z06. And this one matters, because what we're about to build is the pattern. Lesson 05 was the rare flip. This is the stack you'll find behind roughly 70% of WordPress, Drupal, and Magento deployments running in production today. nginx sits at the edge handling TLS, static files, and caching, while Apache lives behind it executing PHP through mod-php. Each server doing exactly what it's best at. That's why this topology has dominated for over a decade. So why does this pattern dominate? 4 forces converge. First, mod-php is just easier. Drop a .php file, Apache runs it, no FPM pool tuning required. Second, nginx is genuinely faster at the edge, 2 to 5 times on TLS, static files, and keep alives. Third, WordPress literally assumes Apache. The codecs, the plugins, the htaccess fragments all bake it in. And fourth, 10+ years of Stack Overflow answers, cPanel defaults, and managed hosts mean the pattern self-reinforces. Every dev you hire has already seen it. Here's the topology, and if it looks familiar, that's the point. Same 3 tiers as Lesson 05, same header contract, but the roles are flipped. nginx now sits at the edge on 4i43, terminating TLS, serving static, enforcing rate limits, then proxy, passing back to Apache bound to localhost on 8080. Apache stays in the cluster, invisible to the public, doing what it does best, running mod-php, honoring htaccess, executing the WordPress engine. Same shape, direction reversed. Now let's look at what nginx actually does at that edge. It terminates TLS with modern protocols, pins, htaccess, and for any static asset, images, CSS, JS, fonts, it serves the bytes directly off disk with a year-long immutable cache. Apache never sees those requests. Everything else falls through to the location/block, which proxy passes to 127.0.0.1808.0, carrying host, x-real IP, and critically x-forwarded proto. So Apache knows the original request was HTTPS. HTTPS in, plain HTTP out across the loopback. And here's Apache on the receiving end, stripped down to what it does best. It binds only to the loopback on port 8080. No TLS, no public exposure. Remote IP header pulls the real client IP back from x-real IP, and the set NVIF trick reasserts HTTPS on, so the application thinks it's still on a secure connection. Allow override. All means .htaccess keeps working, which is exactly why WordPress, Drupal, and Magento feel right at home here. mod-php executes, Apache serves the response back across the loopback, and that's the whole job. Now here's where the whole architecture pays off. Every incoming request hits nginx first and then takes exactly one of 3 paths. Static files like CSS, images, and JavaScript, nginx serves them straight off disk with send file, half a millisecond. Apache never even knows they happened. Cacheable PHP responses, your homepage, product listings, get served from FastGeek cache in RAM around a millisecond. Again, Apache stays idle. Only the truly dynamic stuff, carts, checkouts, admin actions, gets proxy passed back to Apache for a full mod-php run. Master this decision tree and debugging becomes obvious. You always know which tier owns the request. Let's trace a real request end-to-end. Browser hits nginx on 443. TLS terminates there. nginx checks fastCGI query cache, miss, so it proxy passes to Apache on 8080, attaching x-forwarded proto and x-real IP, so WordPress knows it's actually HTTPS and who the real client is. Apache's htaccess rewrites the permalink, mod-php executes index.php, WordPress queries the database, renders HTML, and hands it back. nginx then caches the response, zips it, adds hsts, and ships it over HTTP2. 50 milliseconds the first time, 1 millisecond every time after. A 50 times speed up. and Apache only burns PHP cycles on cache misses. So why does this beat running either server alone? 3 reasons. First, cache hit ratio dominates. 85 to 95% of WordPress traffic is cacheable, and nginx serves those hits 50 times faster than Apache ever could, while Apache handles the genuinely dynamic remainder. Second, each server runs in its sweet spot. Nginx async for I/O, Apache forked for PHP, and third, it scales horizontally. Drop more Apache backends behind Nginx, load balance across them, cache stays in one place. Try that with a single server stack and you'll feel the pain immediately. Here's the cheat sheet. And if you sat through Lesson 05, this table should feel eerily familiar. It's the exact same matrix, just with the column headers swapped. Nginx now owns everything at the edge. TLS, port 443, security headers, static files, even caching PHP responses through fast CGII cache. Apache sits on loopback 8080, never sees TLS, never serves a static byte, but it runs mod PHP and honors htaccess, which is the whole reason it's there. Each tier, one job. Time to put hands on keys. 3 drills, 30 minutes each. First, you build the whole stack from an empty VM. Nginx, Apache, PHP, MySQL, WordPress installed and serving. Second, you bolt fast gecache onto nginx and watch throughput jump tenfold. Third, you add a second Apache on port 8081, drop both into an upstream pool, and prove nginx is round-robining real traffic. Build it, cache it, scale it, and trust me, the mistakes you make along the way are exactly the ones that make this knowledge stick. Now, the mistakes, 5 of them, everyone drawn from real outages on real WordPress sites. Without set NVIFX forwarded proto, is SSL returns false, and your admin generates HTTP URLs. Without remote IP header, every Apache log line says 127.0.001. Fast TGEI cache will happily serve one admin's dashboard to another unless you bypass on the logged-in cookie. Miss the explicit PHP location block and nginx leaks your source. Forget proxy, tier, set, header, host, and WordPress rewrites every URL to localhost. Recognize these before production, not at 2 a.m. And that closes out the coexistence stage. Both halves complete. Lesson 05 gave you Apache at the front. Lesson 06 gave you nginx at the front. And together they're the two faces of the same hybrid pattern. Next up, Lesson 07. The migration playbook itself, step-by-step Apache decommission with a rollback plan, taking you from coexistence to a pure nginx stack. See you there.